What's up, everybody? My name is Sid, and I've teamed up with the big homie Reg to bring y'all something new, something we like to call Beyond the Scoreboard. Y'all be sure to review, rate, and subscribe. Let's get to it. Making these flips. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. Y'all know me. What's up? What's up, Reg?
Sid, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. So this will hopefully be the first actual video version of the show that we get to put out. So that's exciting. Um Happy holidays to everybody. Hope everybody was able to enjoy their Christmas. Um and we had the rare Christmas football game last week, featuring none other than the New Orleans Saints taking on the Minnesota Vikings. I know we saw this game playing out a little differently, but the result being the same.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts about the game?
Minnesota was able to run the ball earlier, like I said they would be able to do. Delvin Cook, he's kind of different than most running backs. I really have him in that elite level. He's probably a top 5 back in football, and I feel like anytime we play one of those guys, we got to worry about the run a little bit more than we normally do. I think Minnesota was pretty sharp. Although that game got ugly, it was kind of close for most of the game. Going into halftime, score was 14-24. And I think we felt a little relaxed as fans, like this is what we expected. But then Minnesota turned it on, and then the beginning of the fourth quarter, they were only trailing 4 points, 27-31. Kirk Cousins was phenomenal. He didn't put the ball in harm's way, and they had a steady dose of the run to keep us on our toes. But ultimately, the lack of their playmakers, to me, is what really caused them to fall to us ultimately. Once, they fell off in the fourth quarter, and they had to give us the ball, we really didn't look back, and it was touchdown after touchdown after that point.
Absolutely. Like you say, Dalvin Cook definitely had it going early on. I want to say he got out to a quick 50 yards.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah,
And I was like, man, I saw it coming.
A real quick 50 yards. Like you say, once we did bottle up the run, it was harder for them to be able to get their receivers and those playmakers open to make a difference.
Right.
Like you say, though, the Vikings, I did not expect us to give up 33 points to the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Their O-line did a good job. They gave up 2 sacks. And like you said, Kirk Cousins didn't put the ball in harm's way. But they should have never put up 33 points against us. And I guess that's just an indictment on our defensive line and our pass rush in that game. But all in all, it didn't matter. 52-33, did it on Kamara's back, 6 touchdowns, 155 rushing yards. So that, like I say, we had the result correct. It was a little tighter than what we thought it would be through most of that game.
And even at 33 points, if you factor in our offense scored almost every time they touched the football, you're not doing nothing but giving the other team the ball right back.
Yeah.
So if this would have been a typical Drew Brees 2 touchdowns, Evan Kamara a touchdown, we kick a few field goals, this could have easily been a 27-10 ball game.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, oh yeah, this is what we thought. But since we had 52, they just got more opportunities to score, which they were able to do. So I didn't make a big deal of us giving up 33. What was your takes from the game? What was the things that you thought played huge factors in limiting Minnesota?
In limiting Minnesota, like I say, we talked about it last week. Your biggest thing is to bottle up Dalvin Cook. If you can control what he's contributing, you can control the whole game. Because the last thing what you hope for is to be able to put a Kirk Cousins in a situation where you have to be the one to beat us.
Like so many teams have done.
Yeah, you're going to have to throw this football in order to beat us. And even with the talent that they have at receiver over there, our secondary has been able to play where our pass rush has allowed our secondary to be able to play lights out football, basically. And even without the pass rush being there on Christmas, secondary was still able to play
right.
So and that's what it really came down to. Once you bottle up and take away Dalvin Cook, you should be set. Because if Kirk Cousins beat you, then that's a whole nother thing we need to be worried
we'll
about
take that.
going forward.
Right.
So biggest thing was bottling up Dalvin Cook, and they were able to do that, like you said, after what it was about the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
And you touched on it. You said we were able to limit Delvin Cook running, but the O line wasn't explosive as they normally are, and I think that's because Minnesota came in saying we're going to get the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands
yeah,
fast. The only downfall to that game plan is once the Saints go up a couple possessions, it's hard to play from behind
yeah,
if you're Minnesota. One thing that I took away from that game that I noticed was I've been watching a lot of Jefferson. He's going to win probably Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been great. He's been a threat. Even when he's not catching 50-yard bombs, he's drawing pass interference calls on the defense.
yeah,
Marshawn Lattimore is the player that I love to hate for the New Orleans Saints. I'm a huge fan of him. I always have his back, but I always find myself putting him down when he plays bad. This
yeah,
was a great game from Marshawn Lattimore. The only time we heard Jefferson's name being called was in zone coverage. But whenever Lattimore had him, especially going downfield, Lattimore couldn't have played better defense than he did on Christmas Day.
yeah. And another huge thing, which is something that I look for every week when we playing, is the penalties. There was only
Right.
4 penalties. There was only 7 in between the two teams in general.
Correct.
But for
Mm-hmm.
us to only have committed 4 penalties, man, we get into some games. The penalties is what keeps drives alive for
Yep.
the other team, and
So
that
many
ends up
times.
killing us in the end. So to see the penalties that were only 4, and I can't remember any of them being anything huge. I think there was one pass interference. I think there was one pass interference late, but besides that, I don't think the penalties really gave them anything. So man, that was like I say, 33 points is a lot, but besides that, man, it was a pretty flawless game for the Saints.
So
Um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Continue.
you good.
I was just going to throw out there the talk for a few games this year for the Saints have been grading Taysom Hill or saying how well or how bad he has played. Now that Drew Brees is back in, all those talks go away.
Yeah,
However, Drew Brees to me didn't have a stellar game, and that's with scoring 52 points. If
yeah.
you look at his numbers, he was very accurate with the football.
Mhm.
I think Drew went, I got it right here, 19 for 26. And
Yeah.
you go, that's pretty good. Well, he went over 300 yards. That's pretty good.
Hmm.
No touchdowns, 2 INTs.
Yeah.
I don't like that from Drew Brees. I feel like that's something that I should see from Taysom Hill. That Minnesota did nothing that because Drew Brees was clean all game. He didn't get sacked. He had a clean game.
Yeah.
So how was it possible to throw 2 INTs and both of them was his fault? It wasn't like it went off.
I don't give him blame for that second interception, the one that went off Emmanuel Sanders' hands. I don't
Did
blame him.
one go?
Yeah, one of
Okay.
them Emmanuel Sanders should have caught, and it ended up going through his hands.
Okay, I thought he had 2 blatant interceptions.
No,
My fault. Okay, all
yeah,
right, cool. I still don't remember that Emmanuel Sanders interception, but it was Christmas, so. But yeah, I don't even remember that one. I thought he had 2 actually going across the middle, kind of forcing it, how he did with the out route last week in KC. So,
yeah,
but I just don't want to see him turn the ball over. Other than that, he had a good game, and like I said, the deeper we get into the playoffs, this is when teams need to get hot, and we definitely need to get hot right now
yeah,
and get back healthy. So if Drew can limit the turnovers and we can run the ball, because we didn't even talk about Latavius Murray, who had a great game,
yeah,
12 rushes, 72 yards,
yep.
averaging 6 yards a pop. So if everyone's going to play like that, we definitely have to find a way to limit the turnovers if we want success in the playoffs.
And I definitely agree. If you want to talk about, like I said, I give him blame for one interception, that one early on. And if you want to, blame him for that, then that's cool. But him not having any passing touchdowns don't bother me because Cameron had 6. Like
Correct.
if your running
Correct.
game gonna be, like that, then
All
I
right.
care less about you throwing touchdowns or not. But like you say, we definitely don't want to be in a position where we giving the ball away, especially in the postseason.
Definitely. Well, the last thing I want to touch about the Saints in general, something that actually happened during the course of this game. We have lost Kawhi Alexander, who has been a huge addition to our defense, our locker room. He just made us overall better. How do you see us addressing that situation going forward?
So when we brought in Quan Alexander, it wasn't we didn't bring him in because of need. I feel like it was he's there to be had, and yeah, he will improve us, so let's get him. But I don't think we necessarily needed him. I feel fine going back to playing Anzalone more because he was doing a great job being there as well. So it definitely hurts because, like you say, he had definitely started to get into his rhythm and had started picking up, especially in the past game, because I know we had some concerns early on when for those first couple games he played, he didn't
Mm-hmm.
look good, but he was definitely coming around in the past game too. So losing him definitely hurts, but like I say, I don't think that where we were before we got him was a bad place. Like I say, I really like Anzalone and what he was able to give us. So I think plugging him right back into that'll be fine.
And just like yourself, I looked at it more like an insurance
Hmm.
trade, basically. If he plays a lot cool, if Alexander continue to play a lot cool, if they share snaps, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was a pickup for a situation like this. But I had Alexander going down like he normally always do. And you got a guy sitting there in Kawhi Alexander that's used to playing, large roles on defense that he can step right in and
Yeah.
fill that void. So we're not as bad as other teams are right now, currently in a situation like Pittsburgh, who's actually missing 2 and 3 linebackers, and that's the whole core of their defense. That's where it
Yeah.
lies, is that front
Yeah.
seven. So, it's going to be a huge loss, but I believe we definitely can get over it.
And that win finally, after losing two straight, we finally were able to clinch the NFC South
Yep.
for the fourth year in a row, which is crazy because just 4 years ago we were talking about how it had been so long in the NFC South with a single
Yep.
team winning back to back, and
Yep.
now we've strung along four straight and eliminated Minnesota from the playoffs as well. Uh,
I think
so
they were
that was
eliminated before we got to them, though.
so that was a bonus.
Right.
So what game do you want to jump to next from this
Uh,
week?
the to me the best matchup over the weekend for this week of football was Tennessee and Pittsburgh. That was a game that had a lot of upside to it that meant something for us. The playoff seeding goes in the AFC. It was a highly anticipated game. What did you get from that game?
Tennessee, Green Bay.
No,
Oh,
Coach
Coach
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. So
Hmm.
me and you talked about that game off air early on while it was going on,
Oh,
and and the coach was sitting 21-7. They were sitting pretty.
right,
Um, the first thing that caught my eye about that game was Pittsburgh's first possession. They came out and tried to be aggressive, and they threw
right, yeah,
three passes that ended up going nowhere. And then all of a sudden, like it's at halftime, it's 21-7. And
yeah.
you're like, well,
What
that's
happened?
it for Pittsburgh. Yeah, like like that's it for Pittsburgh. Because what we keep talking about is their struggles with a run game and drop passes, and then of course the injuries. Injuries
Yep,
have hit them pretty hard.
yep.
Um, so for this is something I wasn't expecting out of Pittsburgh. I thought the Colts was going to run away with this game, even before it started, and then to see them up 21-7, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's over
yeah,
with.
it's
Like
over.
even if the Colts don't score again, I don't see them allowing Pittsburgh to claw back into this. And man, what James Conner played had 5 attempts. Snell played had 6 attempts. As
0 yards.
as a team, they put up what 6, 11, 12, 14 attempts on the ground. So and Big Ben threw 49 times, which you don't want. Like
Nope.
I don't care what team you are,
Right.
and we've been seeing that a lot this year too. But yeah, Big Ben threw almost 50 times. That's crazy to me. But his
Yep.
receivers showed up down the line.
They
That
did.
that defense was able to get more pressure in the second half than they were in the first half. TJ Watt, who is the sack leader in the league, I think at this point. He had 2 sacks.
Two, yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, the receivers came through for him. Juju Smith ended up with 96 yards. Deontay Johnson had 75. Claypool had 54. Ebron and Connor both had over 40.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're able to get to so many different targets and they're actually being reliable for you, because like I said, that's been the question all season. Are these
Right.
receivers going to not drop these passes? Is Big Ben going to have enough time? He only got sacked once on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to get to him. And they have good receivers. They just don't always catch the ball. So if you're going to give Big Ben time to throw the football, those
Mm-hmm.
receivers eventually going to catch these passes. And that's what happened Sunday. They weren't able to get the pressure, and then Pittsburgh defense picked up in the
Yep.
second half as well.
That's exactly what happened. So you spoke on how limited Pittsburgh was rushing the ball against the Colts. It was horrible. It was a bad sight to see because the game was so lopsided. Although the score was only, I think, 14-0 at one point, it
Mm.
felt so much more worse than that. And I remember at one point texting you, I think it was the close to the end of the second or early third, and I was like, yeah, it's over. They done.
Yeah.
Like, this game is over. And soon as my finger hit send, it's like Pittsburgh just completely turned things around, and they took control of this game. So one thing they was consistent with was causing Philip Rivers to set his feet and then have to reset his feet to
Yeah.
get rid of the ball, which caused the coach to speed up the offense for us. Instead of looking downfield, we're going to do everything quick. Everything is going to be drags. Everything's going to be underneath. And I think that came back to bite the Colts later in that game because they kept it so bland. Pittsburgh was able to make plays to get back in the ball game. Pittsburgh D line was phenomenal from start to finish. Anytime you got TJ Watt on your side of the ball, good things are going to happen. But they were able to sack Philip Rivers 5 times that game, and their defense played a huge part in clawing back into this game because they had to keep getting stops and giving Big Ben other opportunities with the ball. And we spoke about like the success that Big Ben had with his receivers, but when you look at it, it all was underneath things. Everything that he threw was still underneath. Juju had 96 yards on 9 catches.
Yeah.
You spoke with Johnson, 8 catches, 75 yards. So it wasn't like, someone just started, running by DBs and safeties. Pittsburgh actually clawed their way back into this game. And it just takes me back to a conversation we had on one of the earlier shows about, how I told you I don't have belief in the Colts. And
Yeah.
this is one of those reasons I feel like out of all the true contenders in the AFC, the Colts, when healthy, are the team that would allow one of the better AFC teams to sneak back in the game. I think Pittsburgh, when healthy, they close the door on teams if they're up 14, 17 points. Because I think at the beginning of the third, this game was 24-14. So this coach team went into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead and couldn't maintain. And this is why I don't think that they have a closer. And when you say, well, you have to be able to run the ball to win these kind of games, the coach was able to run the ball. They had great success all night running the ball, and it still happened. So do you think they will continue to have these struggles in the playoffs, or do you think they can fix it?
The Colts.
Colts.
So this is my thing. I agree with you. I agree with you that out of the AFC contenders, the Colts are definitely the team that's most capable of giving up a 10-plus lead, even if it's in the fourth quarter.
And this was to
Because
Pittsburgh, a team that's been struggling offensive.
because in games like this, where it's like you say, they got to 21 points early, and then their offense stalled, and they do that. They do that a good bit. Their offense can be hitting on all cylinders for one half, and then turn around and give you nothing another half. They're just inconsistent like that, and their defense is going to keep you in it. But once again, you keep putting your defense out there over and over and over again. Eventually, they're going to wear out. I still believe that I still believe in the Colts. Not to, like I said, I don't think they're gonna get to a Super Bowl personally. But when it comes to, I would still trust the Colts more than Pittsburgh at
Okay.
this point.
That's at this point. That's not counting injuries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I still would trust the Colts more just because even like you say, James Conner was out this Sunday, and it was what 5 rushes for 20 yards. And I
Mm.
know once you get down a good bit, then running, you have to run the football less. But to run the ball under 15 times in a game for Pittsburgh, that's more of a look. We just can't run the ball more than anything else.
Right.
And the lack of a run game, as it gets colder out there in Pittsburgh, as it gets colder out, as teams like Buffalo and Tennessee come through, and or even the Colts again, and because like you say, even when they found a rhythm later on, it was more about reliability than big plays. It was
Right.
more about they're actually, like you say, Juju had 9 for 96, but the bigger thing is he caught 9 passes. Like that's the bigger thing about it. Like you were able to go to these guys and trust them to come down with the football, even if it was only for 10 yards, and move your way down the field. I can't. It's hard for me to believe that after 1 week they just gonna continue to not drop passes throughout the rest of the season. It's not gonna happen. And the
Right.
passing game is what they're gonna have to rely on and able to move through the playoffs, along with that defense.
Well, it's definitely a tight fight in the AFC just as much as the NFC as these final playoff spots go to winning teams. It's pretty much a scenario like always. If you win, you win. A
Yeah.
lot of teams in the AFC and NFC find themselves in that place. So, was there any other games you wanted to talk about the NFL?
I don't want to get too in depth with them, but one I did want to speak on was the Rams and the Seahawks, man. Every week we get on here and I tell you, all 4 teams in that division, every time they play, it's a toss up. Like
Yeah,
you don't know what you're gonna get out of those teams, and that was a very long, a very long 20-9 game that
it
happened.
really was. Yeah.
Um, but besides that, what did you take from um not last night's game, Sunday night's game, if anything, the Titans and the Packers.
Titans and Packers. Oh, that game got ugly quick.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers. Like what was so crazy was like everybody was like, if you one of those guys that's into social media on a sports platform, you would see all the comments that most fans or just anybody can write, and everybody was just saying, "Oh, they're gonna run the ball." Aaron Jones, Henry's gonna be looking to hit people in the mouth. It's gonna be a crazy run game, and I kind of was like, "Yeah, but if you Aaron Rodgers, you kind of used to this." Tennessee really don't have a great corner this year, and Adams has been out of this world, and I'm like, they still gonna take their shots. And
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, man, bink these people to sleep.
and
Like
and
it's
I
nothing
wasn't
Tennessee
expecting it.
stuff.
Like everybody else. Once I saw the forecast, I was like, "Oh, this is a run game. This is gonna
Yeah,
be a whole lot of Derrick Henry. This is gonna be a whole lot of Aaron Jones." And Aaron Rodgers had something different in mind.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that game
I,
right there, that game for me, because I was still going back and forth on it, and I'm not that big of a fan of Aaron Rodgers, but that's the MVP right there to me.
right.
Sunday, that was the MVP. You got
Hmm.
it, bro.
You got it. You giving it to him.
You still doing it, bro. You got it.
I think it was my friend Lando who I would talk to before that game, and he was like, I don't know, I don't see them throwing the ball. I'm like, man, if you Aaron Rodgers, man, you still got something to play for because they still trying to wrap up the number one seed in the NFC. I'm like, they don't. The last thing you want to do is get into a time possession match with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah,
Green Bay at some point want to go up double digits and then rely on the run. And like I said, the way Rodgers been playing and Adams have, I don't know if you've been really checking him out this year or fans who listen to this podcast, if you guys been following the receiver position, this dude is off the charts. I think he got 18 touchdowns this year, if I'm
yeah,
not mistaken. I'm sure he's going to go for 20 this Sunday. But anytime you have a quarterback and a receiver that's that hot, you have to continue to give them their opportunities to do what they do every week. And they just relied on it way more than what I thought they would. I knew they would take some shots, but man, they came out there like wasn't nothing going on with the weather. They went up real quick.
Exactly. In Tennessee had nothing for him.
Nope, not at all. So you said Aaron Rodgers is your MVP already.
He's the MVP.
You giving it to
Because
him?
Mahomes is just as amazing. Like I don't want to ever,
Yeah.
but man, for Aaron Rodgers to be, it's Aaron Rodgers. I got to give it to him.
I think he got close to 700 more yards than what Patrick Mahomes has, and a handful of touchdowns, maybe more than Pat. Oh
Yeah,
no, Pat has more touchdowns. I think Pat
does
has. I
okay.
think. I think.
The crazy thing, Sean brought this to my attention. I think it was yesterday we was talking, and he said that Aaron Rodgers, one of his goals, I think, coming into the season, or maybe it's always been one of his goals, is to hit 500 touchdowns before he hit 100 interceptions. It
Mm.
blows my mind that he hasn't thrown 100 interceptions yet in his career.
Yeah,
I
that's
think he's at
crazy.
83 right now. That's
Yeah,
a
that's
third.
crazy. Yeah,
He's
and
about to get a 5-to-1 ratio when it
I
comes.
saw something too. How many years he's been in the league so far?
He gotta be in year 14, maybe.
I was going to say 15 for some reason.
Yeah,
Okay,
it has to
14,
be right
15.
in there. Yeah,
He only has 2 seasons with double digits interceptions. And
yeah,
those double digits was like 12 and 10.
yeah,
That's impressive by itself. When you think about all the times he dropped back to throw the ball, to have that only 2, like that's crazy, man.
yeah. He's what a 44 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this season. Like that's
Okay, I think he got more than Mahomes. Then he has more touchdowns than
yeah.
Mahomes.
He's first in touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, was that all? That's it for NFL. The only thing that I have is the odds for this
Um,
Sunday.
I did want to just talk playoff scenarios too,
Okay.
since we already there. The AFC, you talked about it. It's a lot of win and you're in. I think it's 5 teams that's vying for basically 4 spots at this point. Um, Pittsburgh is in. They can move
They
from this.
clinched.
They're either going to be the second seed or the third seed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know. Maybe they locked up the second seed. No, no, no,
No,
no, no.
they
They're gonna
have.
be second or third. That Buffalo Dolphins game is gonna be really important next week.
Yep,
Because the Dolphins is one of those teams that has to win as well.
they do.
Um, and then you look at Cleveland. Cleveland has to win, and they're playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh,
Tennessee also has to win.
yeah. Tennessee plays Houston, right? Yeah, Tennessee plays
Tennessee
Houston.
has Houston.
Um, I know Pittsburgh said earlier that they're going to start Mason Rudolph on Sunday, so that bodes well for Cleveland as well in that matchup. You got the Seahawks and the 49ers. Uh, if the Seahawks win, if the Seahawks win and Green Bay loses, we can lock and we win, we can end up with the 1 seed.
Correct.
Don't know how Green Bay is really going to play next week. I'm quite sure. I would bet that they come out full force,
Yeah.
just to
This is
ensure that
this
they
is
can lock up that number 1 seed against
and
Chicago.
and I think Rodgers is going to want to secure the MVP as well.
Even though I feel like he just did that, this will definitely give him another shot at it.
Right.
And the Colts is another team that has to win in order to be able to get into the playoffs. So there's definitely, and then Cowboys Giants. I want to say, if the Giants win, I want to say they're in. No, no. If the Giants lose and Washington loses, the Cowboys actually get in. But if Washington wins, they're in. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. But yeah, it's always good to even at week 17, you actually have playoff implications and playoff spots up in the air. It definitely makes things more interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And the NFL definitely did that on purpose. You know, that's why they do it, to make sure teams are not resting players this close to the year. They give you something to play for. And speaking on that playoff scenario in the NFC, I think the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Cowboys if they win, they're in the NFC.
Well, no, Washington's still number 1 in that division.
If Washington and the Cowboys both win, Washington.
Washington is in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, and then of course, I just saw a game that I had missed: the Cardinals and the Rams. That game is important too. I think Arizona needs to win that game in order to get into the playoffs. And if they lose, well, I think even if they win, they might need help.
Yeah,
Um,
they're on the outside looking in as of right now in the NFC.
yeah, so if they win, I can't remember how their games against their first game against the Rams went this season. I can't remember if they won or lost that game. But if they won it, of course, if they win, then they're in because they would have swept the Rams and knocked them out of that spot. Which both of those teams might go into Sunday with backup quarterbacks. We know the Rams will for sure with Jared
Right.
Goff having his surgery yesterday, and they say Kyler Murray is dealing with a leg injury
Hamstring, yeah.
that might lead them into that battle with the backup quarterback as well.
As of right now, the Cardinals sit at 4-point favorites for that game right now.
Yeah, and it's not even showing me none right now on
Really?
Bleacher Report. I guess because the Kyler Murray thing is up in the air.
Yeah.
But we can come back and do our eyes towards the end of the show if that's what you want to do, or we can
Sure.
talk NBA real quick.
Sure.
Uh, with opening week taking off last week. I want to say we talked about opening night last show. We were able to talk about opening night with the Lakers and Clippers, and then Milwaukee and was it Milwaukee? No, it was Brooklyn and Golden State. So we did talk about opening day last week. The Christmas games, which I want to say, well, they had another day of games before that, but the Christmas games, which ended up being Lakers, Mavericks, Clippers, Nuggets, Nets, Celtics, Warriors, Bucks, Heat, Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
So my expectations going into Christmas Day was all of these games should be good except for one, which was the Bucks and the Warriors.
It didn't disappoint you.
But honestly, I think two of these games were actually good, in my opinion. Um, Even though the Lakers ended up beating the Mavericks by 23 for a while, that was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Pelicans and the Heat game, I really enjoyed that game early on too. The Nets Celtics game got out of hand early. The Warriors Bucks game, we already knew how that was gonna go.
From tip.
We already knew how that was gonna go. And then Clippers Nuggets, I didn't even finish watching it to be honest with you. But what was your opinions on that?
Of course, I was pumped to see the Pelicans play on Christmas. The Pelicans, their problem stuck out to me like a sore thumb. They don't have a lot of ball movement in the offense, and they only get buckets from, to me, two players. JJ Redick, he got it going early that he kind of kept them in it, but you can tell that the Heat were just a more in sync team all game long. They got a chance to rest their starters. Jimmy Butler sat down for a long time. Him and Dragic, they got the rest because they went up so early. But
Yeah.
I love Bi. I think Bi has a bright future in the NBA. I just hate that once he touched the ball for the Pelicans, chances are he's shooting. They allow him to do a lot of isolation until he could put up a shot. And it kept the game close in the second half by doing that. But in the first half, he was off, and it caused them to run the lead up. So the Heat didn't do anything, spectacular, but didn't miss in the first half. Pretty much everybody was hitting for Miami to
And
start that game.
and it seems like the difference. Well, this is what it seems like from what I've seen through what 4 games of the Pelicans, 3 or 4 games of the Pelicans so far, is their starting five is made up of Steven Adams and then 4 people who are streaky. 4 people like there are no Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe. All of them can put the ball in the basket, but none of them are going to do it for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Not 4 quarters every game. So it's real inconsistent. So like you said on Christmas, Brandon Ingram in that second half ended up getting a high hand. So you got to keep feeding him the ball.
Right.
But that's something that they're definitely going to have to figure out going forward because once again, like I said, these guys are streaky. Whether it's Zion, Bledsoe, Ingram, it's only so much you can ask JJ Redick to do because he can't
Right.
really create his own shot. And Josh Hart, Josh Hart is okay. You know, he's he's okay. So, like I say, that's going to be interesting to see how they try to balance that out. Because one of these guys are going to have to become consistent throughout the season in order for the Pelicans to actually have a shot at making the playoffs.
True. The only other answer to that solution is if they actually play through Zion a little bit more. I don't believe his game is where it needs to be in order for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is just something that they can do in the future. As of right now, it's basically get rebounds or attack the basket, which he does at a very high level already in the early stage of his career. He
Yep.
attacks the basket rootless, and I love that about his game. I love how he doesn't turn into the guy that if he hit his first jump, okay, I'm going to settle for a bunch of these jumpers. No matter if his jump is falling or not,
Yeah.
he finds a way to get to the basket. He finds a way to create contact and get to the free throw line. And I think they're going to be all right in the future. But like you said, right now, somebody has to be more consistent in that lineup in order for them to be successful.
Absolutely. Um, so what else across that NBA slate or in the NBA in general have you taken from this first week of basketball?
KD is back. He is definitely back. I know how great he is. I know how special he is. How much talent he has. I just didn't expect for him to be back this soon.
Yeah.
I mean, he is making quick work of these games. I know they suffered the loss. I think that was 2 days ago, but to the Hornets. But he has taken off. I mean, he's if you look at his body of work, he's finishing with 28 and 30 and all these high numbers, and it's in 30 minutes or less.
Yep.
So it's not like he's lollygagging or they're in tight games. He's coming out early, establishing his dominance, getting everybody else involved, and boom.
And the thing that really helps him, like it helped a lot of young stars that we saw in the bubble last year, was that extra time off because
Mm-hmm.
of COVID having those months in between. That gave him extra months where he didn't have to worry about basketball. He didn't have to worry about uh, starting to get into training camp and stuff like that. He got extra months to really heal and get himself back going. And the first game, the first time I saw him dunk, uh, I was like, oh yeah, he gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be fine. So it's great to see him back, man. Steph Curry had a great game a couple of days ago, which was funny because he there was a video of him making 105 3-pointers in a row.
I saw that from the side. Yeah.
And my response to that video was, "Oh, he took them braids out. That's what it was. The braids. He gonna go off now." And that next game, he was able to go off. I got a trick question for you.
Okay.
There are 4 teams who are currently undefeated in the NBA.
I
I want
saw
to
him.
know which one, which one, in your opinion, has the best chance of actually making the postseason. So these
Ooh.
are your 4 teams: the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Orlando Magic, the Indiana Pacers, and the Atlanta Hawks. They're all 3-0.
So I would normally say the Pacers in a situation like this, but I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna go the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
I think Atlanta did a great job of bringing in some guys that fit what they're trying to do,
Mhm.
and they have an elite scorer in Trey Young. So, along with Rondo being a presence in that locker room, leading this young group of guys, teaching them what they need to do, how to be professional, and having a guy in the locker room that have won multiple championships plays a big role. So, I would have to go with the Atlanta Hawks.
And I agree. You know how I feel about Atlanta. I see them as I was real big on them last year. And I am again this year. I think they can be a playoff team this year.
Mhm.
And like you say, the addition of Rondo to me, to a lot of people, it don't make sense at all. To me, I just saw it as a leadership move.
I'm one of those too.
It's like a leadership move. I compare it to Chris Paul in Phoenix. Chris Paul isn't going to translate to them becoming contenders in the West, but he's going to be able to teach Devin Booker things about the game that he hasn't been able to get this far into his career. I see
Mhm.
the same thing as Rondo, being able to get in there with guys like Trey Young and be able to coach him up And anything he gives you beyond that is a bonus.
I feel
Like I
you.
want to say last night I was watching, I think he knocked down 4 threes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a bonus if you're gonna give me
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm real big on the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm shocked you didn't go Indiana there. um, but yeah, today there's two games that's gonna jump on TNT. You got the Bucks and the Heat, and then you got the Pelicans and the Suns, which both should be good games. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to actually watch Phoenix yet this season to see how it's looking with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So those should be two really good matchups. The Bucks Heat is definitely going to be an interesting one after their series. How that ended in the bubble last year.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a good one. Anything else on the NBA?
That was pretty much it. That's all that I had. It's still early. We still have a lot of teams that still building that chemistry, and we're gonna let the NBA season unfold.
Absolutely. So let's look forward to Week 17 of the NFL season.
It's a lot of games there. A lot of games that mean something.
And the NFL went ahead and flexed their schedule for Week 17, so
Mm-hmm.
there'd be a lot of scoreboard watching in the afternoon. But let's start where we always start: the Saints and the Panthers. They're giving the Panthers 6.5.
Yep. As
They're
of
giving
right
them
now,
6.5. So what you got?
I have New Orleans covering.
Yeah.
I have us making quick work of the Panthers come Sunday. We have something to play for. Drew's still hungry. The offense is still hungry. Defense is looking sharp. Carolina have their issues at their offensive line positions,
Uh,
and like we always say, even without Trey playing this past Sunday, you still don't want to play a New Orleans defense right now. So I think Drew is going to be sharp. This will probably be one of the better games for him this season, given the fact Tampa Bay isn't a real aggressive defense. I think they lead the lead in first downs, allowing first downs. I know they don't get off the field on third down. They're pretty much at the bottom of almost every defensive ranking there is. So playing Drew Brees and New Orleans, the way we protect them, I have this being one of the easiest victories of this season for us.
I think this is a statement too. I think this turned into a statement game going into the postseason. I don't think Drew plays the second half, and if he does, I don't think he plays the fourth quarter. I don't think it won't. I don't think it'd be necessary. I think we get out ahead on this team, and there is no looking back at that point. Um, so yeah, I'm taking the Saints to cover as well. I definitely think that, like I said, this game gets away from Carolina early. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and once again, there's no clawing back. Typically, it gets a
Yeah,
team like New Orleans with how well our defense is and how well our offense has been playing.
yeah.
So which one of these playoff implicated games you want to hit first? What's your favorite one to look at?
I will start with the Eagles and Washington, only because Cowboys, their team have so many fans, and it's
Yeah,
it's crazy how after they won, my phone just lit up a whole bunch of Cowboy fans, all on social media hitting
all
me
on
up.
social media.
We in it kills me that we go from hey this season don't count this whatever to we go into the playoffs. Oh, let
Exactly.
me do it how they do it. We go into the playoffs. How about those Cowboys? That's what we get from them. So this Eagles game, like you said, will mean a lot with Washington because, like you stated earlier, if Washington win, they're in. But Washington is playing a backup quarterback, and
Yep.
Philly want to play small.
Backup quarterback.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So that's going to be very interesting because if you Philly, do you let Hurts cook all game long? Do you let him fly around and be a playmaker and really trust him? And if you Washington, what do you do to give your O line a better chance to handle Philly's D line? As if Fletcher Cox, he's out, right?
Yes, I think
He's
Fletcher
out.
Cox is
So
out.
I mean, it's going to start with protecting
He's questionable.
protecting. I'm sorry.
I think he's questionable, so
He's
we'll see.
questionable as
But
of
he
right
got
now.
a neck injury, so yeah.
Got to be out. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that game shape up because Washington is playing for something. So Philly has yet to just allow Hurts to be great. Even this past Sunday, they did it. They took the ball out of his hands
Yeah.
after his success that early. So I just would like to see how that game shape up and which Washington team we get, what Washington defense we get. That's what I'm looking forward to see.
And I've been big on Washington's defense all season, and about halfway through, I started coming around on their offense. Whenever Alex Smith started getting in there, and Antonio Gibson had balled out all
Yeah,
year, and
he's definitely
McLaurin
made
had
a
been
name for
one of the
himself.
surprises of the year. But those three guys are on the injury report for this week. So Alex Smith is questionable. Gibson is questionable. I think they're pretty confident in having Alex Smith for Sunday. McLaurin is doubtful. So
Mhm.
it just depends on how many playmakers Washington is able to put out on the field on Sunday. Um, I'm real big on their defense. I'm not really concerned about Jalen Hurts being able to eat through their defense at all. But once again, if you keep putting your defense on the field and your
Right.
offense isn't able to get anything going, eventually that defense is going to wear down.
Yep.
So, like I say, it really depends on the playmakers that Washington will be able to present on Sunday to if they'll be able to squeeze out that victory and get them a home playoff game.
Hmm.
Uh,
So
and
taking a look at it, what game do you see that you find interesting in?
I was really looking forward to Pittsburgh, Cleveland
Okay.
until it was decided that Big Ben wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
That kind of ruined it for me. So I think um, it has to be Arizona and the Rams.
Okay.
It has to be that game just because once again I said it earlier this show with the NFC West this season it's been a coin toss. Like what
Hmm.
you never know what they're gonna look like from week to week, quarter to quarter, half to half. Like you just don't know. And once again, we know for sure Jared Goff's not playing Sunday. Um, Kyler Murray, he's up in the air at this point.
Hmm.
We don't know exactly how that's going to sit out. Sit with him. And I think you text me the other day and asked, "Is the Rams out of it because Jared Goff is hurt? Are they done with?" And man, they have so much talent on that offense that it's hard for me to believe that even a backup quarterback that's been sitting under McVay and being able to be familiar with this offense will go out there and perform much worse than a Jared Goff can on his worst days or even on his average days, which most days are average for him. I find
Hmm.
it hard to believe that that backup quarterback can't go out there and produce. And that Rams defense, they're gonna do their part.
Right.
They got, like I say, it shocked me when I saw it, but look, we talking about one of the best defenses in the league.
Yep.
So I trust the Rams, even if Kyler Murray is on the other side of that football. I trust the Rams to be able to defensively stifle Kyler Murray and offensively be able to move the chains to where even if it's ended in 3 points, your defense is spending the bulk of the game on the field. And I think
Gotcha.
that's enough for them to beat Arizona.
The game I thought you were going to go was Bills Dolphins. That's the one I thought you were going to
Yeah.
pick. Which also I think is going to be a pretty good game. Right now, the Bills is actually they are giving up 5 at home to the Dolphins.
Really?
Yep, as of right
Mine's
now,
showing 1.5.
one and a half. That's a big
Yeah.
jump. I did pull these about noon today, so
Yeah, it did
they
say that
do
it
go
opened
back
at
and
four and a
forth.
half, and now it's 1.5. So yeah.
So even 1.5 to the Dolphins. I definitely like the Bills in this game. I think the Dolphins, their issues obviously falls on the offensive end of the ball, and I don't like the way how they go back and forth with Tua and Fitzpatrick as of right now. Um, and if you're going to tell me Tua is still your starter, I don't think overnight he's going to start seeing that okay, this guy has one step. I have to make this ball. I have to, throw this ball at this time.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to learn that overnight. So one thing that the Bills don't have issues, the position that they don't have issues is that the quarterback position. They have that guy with Allen, and he's balling. He put on the show last night against New England. So
he's
and I
another.
know this Dolphins defense is good. I'm sorry.
I said Josh Allen is another guy who's found himself in the MVP discussion this year.
Yep, definitely. And the Dolphins, their defense is very good. I just feel like their offense is going to give the Bills more than enough chances to win this game.
And so, two things. The first thing is I actually like Brian Flores' approach to the Tua Fitzpatrick thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's giving Tua enough leeway to go out there and become better and put the team in a position to win. But he's wise enough to know that Ryan Fitzpatrick still, in some cases, gives him the better hand, and he's not afraid to make that move instead of letting Tua sink and let a game get away from him, especially in a season where they're 10-5, you know. So
Yeah.
I actually like that he's brave enough to go ahead and pull his rookie for a veteran who can lock up and seal up games for him down the stretch. Um, the other thing is Buffalo is in a similar situation as Pittsburgh. Once again, one of them would be the number 2 seed, one of them would be the number 3 seed. So I guess it really comes down to what kind of approach they take to resting players come Sunday. Do they go all out and just say, look, if we're going to treat this like any other week, or is it going to be, look, we're going to be the second or third seed. We need to kind of rest these guys because we're going to be up playing another game next week. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but if it's all go, this definitely will be an interesting game because, like you touched on, Miami's defense has been really good this year. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, they probably got the best cornerback duo in the league.
Definitely.
Um, so that's really going to be interesting to see Stephon Diggs go up against that. Um, but yeah, that definitely will be a good game. I think I'd take Buffalo too. If they're going in all, if they're not resting anybody, it's hard for me to not take Buffalo. They're on a roll right now.
Right.
I don't know if I want to say we were off air when we talked about it last week, but you asked me if I had to pick off of what I was seeing right then in the league who would be in the Super Bowl, and I said Buffalo and Green Bay just because both of those teams have been rolling these past
Right.
3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
offensively and defensively, honestly.
Yep. And just real quick about the Tua situation, I like how the coach is wise enough to make that pull before Tua puts his team in a situation where they can't come back and win or take control of a game. However, if I'm Tua, it's only so long before he tries to make one of those throws that he may not be ready to make now. He
Yeah,
know Fitzpatrick is on the other end. He's not cool with keep being benched. I mean, I know they say they have a great relationship and all that, but no quarterback. I'm sorry.
I think that's what they're supposed to say.
Exactly. No quarterback wants to get pulled off the field to be replaced for any reason besides injury.
Yeah.
So you pulling this guy and I'm healthy, I'm good to go is obviously because you think he could do something I can. And two was accurate with the ball.
I was
When he got
about to say
when he got pulled.
it's not even a physical thing. Like it's not like Ryan Fitzpatrick can go out there and make plays with his legs
Right.
it's not that he can do anything physically that Tua can. It's just he's wiser, he's smarter, he
Right.
knows what throws he should be making and should not be making, and
Right.
that's the only difference in that regard.
And I think that that's going to, at some point, whether it's this Sunday, next week, whatever, at some point, Tua's going to have to start making those throws, and he's going to start forcing himself to see guys to be open that's really not open. That's what I think. And Buffalo is the perfect situation for that to happen in.
And I wouldn't be shocked going into the postseason if Brian Flores makes a hard decision on who his quarterback is going to be instead of getting into a position. Like I feel like if he feels like there may be a chance that he'd have to pull Tua during the game, then you just roll with Ryan Fitzpatrick instead of having to make that decision 2 or 3 quarters into a game. So I think if Tua starts that first game in the playoff, then
Mhm.
that's who he's riding with. I don't think there will be a Fitzpatrick sighting unless he gets hurt.
I got you. Okay. Well, that's all that I had for this upcoming week of football. Was there any other games that you locked in on?
Not games, but I did want to bring something that we talked about off air onto air real quick, which is the Carson Wentz situation. Um,
That never ends.
just because, and I honestly do want our fans' reaction on it too, because I don't think I've talked to anybody but you about it so far. But the Carson Wentz situation, where you've made this man at that point the highest paid quarterback in the league, and not but a year later you've benched him for a rookie quarterback. How do you handle that going forward? Um, and of course, my thoughts on it is you're tied to him. What did we say? Because we looked at some numbers
I think
about
it
a day or so
was
ago.
34 million or so, 32, 34 million
For
next
one
year.
so next season for sure, they're
Hmm.
looking at basically having to keep him, and then after that they can sever ties with him, right?
Right.
And my opinion is you got to ride with him for next year, not as your starter, but you have to ride with him as at least your backup because of the money you've invested in him and the potential of, because this is something that they've been burned by over the past few years, your starting quarterback going down and you having to have somebody to replace him. However you feel about what he has been this year, you still know what he was at one point, and
Correct.
there's nobody who's going to have a better grasp on your playbook and your scheme than him at this point. So I
Hmm.
feel like for $30 million or however much it is, he's worth keeping, even if he's riding the bench next season. But you feel otherwise.
And the only reason why I feel otherwise is because if you're the Eagles, you feel like you can win this division next year. I feel like if they handle their situations, address their needs in the draft and free agency, Philadelphia can very easily be in consideration to win this division next year. So if you tell me that I have to keep Carson Wentz for one more year, pay him $34 million, and make him my backup, cool. It's life, it's football, it happens. However, if you tell me that someone is offering me a third round draft pick for Carson Wentz, I have to at least consider it because I'm trying to do what's best for the team. Come hell or high water, Carson Wentz won't be here for the next 2 years. This third round draft pick possibly can. Third round draft pick, like I told you, is a position that NFL teams they value that position. You
Mm-hmm.
can you might necessarily don't get your franchise player in the third round, but you definitely can get a starting guard. You definitely can get a D tackle or a defensive end that may have slipped, or even a receiver. Philly has so many linebacker. They have so many needs that they just can't turn a deaf ear to these draft picks. Or if they decide to take the third round draft pick and package it with their third round draft pick to possibly move up or do whatever they want, get as creative as they want to do with it. But it depends on the offer that I get for Carson Wentz. I'm comfortable having him as a backup, but if the right trade comes along, I wouldn't be heartbroken to move him.
And once again, I'm not saying you can't consider the deal at all. I'm just looking at it like, as you say, if they are in contention to be able to win the NFC East next year, um, I feel like you're already in a position to where your team is pretty well off enough to, like, if you're in contention next season, your team's going to be well off for years to come under Jalen Hurts, to be in contention to win the NFC East. So why let a potential Jalen Hurts injury sink all of that? Because that's been the case with them for what, the past 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz twice. You're looking at Carson Wentz was hurt again this year. Like your quarterbacks, I don't know if it's your training staff or what, but your quarterbacks are prone to injury in Philadelphia.
Well, if then that puts you right back at the current situation that you just was in. If you're telling me that Hurts go down and I have to put Carson Wentz right back in, then I feel as if I'm putting in a guy that's not as good as my starter, because that's the reason that Hurts is the starter in the first place.
Well, that's what a backup quarterback is anyway. Somebody who's not as good as your starter. So of course that's what you're putting in.
Yeah, but do you think at this point, this was also your backup wasn't signed or drafted to be the backup.
Mm-hmm.
Your current backup lost his starting job
Mm-hmm.
to the guy that was backing up him. So what I'm saying is, I feel as if we have to play Carson Wentz, we already don't have hope in him, because if so, he would still be the starter. So I feel whatever service they're going to get from Carson Wentz come next year, there are other guys that they can sign in free agency to do the same.
And I guess that depends on how you think they distribute the blame in Philadelphia. Do they put 100% blame on Carson Wentz for the way he's performed this year, or are they saying, look, you didn't have your receivers for most of the year, the O line has been in shambles, Jalen Hurts is just more mobile than you, so he can do a little bit more to you. Do you? Because I can see a situation where they go into next season with a revamped O line and saying, look, Carson Wentz is back being our starter.
I That would be so heartbreaking for Philly fans, for to me Jalen Hurts and
Oh, for Jalen,
everyone in that
of course it
organization,
would be.
because I'm sorry.
I said for Jalen Hurts, of course it would be.
Yeah, because you say this, we have to ask ourselves what considered us to even think about playing Hurts right now. The lack of playmaking ability from Carson Wentz. Soon as Jalen Hurts arrived,
I was about to say, or is it the lack of mobility from Carson Wentz at this point?
whichever one you want to say, Hurts was able to do something that Wentz wasn't, and
Yes.
that give this offense hope and give them light. They are scoring points early in ball games, which Philly haven't been able to do all year long. Soon as this dude get in, they're able to score points early. I mean, immediately they're able to score. Philly haven't had that luxury all year. No matter who was on the field, long as Carson Wentz was under center, no points was being scored. So he definitely have to shoulder a lot of this blame. A lot of people, when I was in Philly this year, a lot of people were saying the coach, and I'm just like, you ready to part ways with your Super Bowl winning coach already? Like, to me, that's just a little premature. And now you look at the success that he's had with Hurts, and all those talks have went away. They're ready to give him the keys and make him the starter for next year and all this good stuff. But the way I look at it is this: we really, a lot of teams don't have tape on Hurts as well. So all that will get handled, next offseason, and people would know how to game plan for Philly just a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you need at least 2 full years before we can really evaluate if Hurts was a better choice than Carson Wentz. That's just to be fair to both guys. But yes, Carson Wentz has to take a lot of this blame. I would give him at least 75%. And the only reason why is the turnovers. That has nothing to do with you throwing the ball to the other team and you losing all these fumbles, Carson Wentz. That has nothing to do with nothing. A lot of times, Philly have been in positions to make ball games close. All they need is a field goal, and he's in situations where he know the only thing you can't do is take a sack or turn the ball over, and he finds a way to do one of those things. So he definitely have to take 75% of this blame.
Yeah, and I disagree. I can see where their management is looking at it and saying, look, 50-50. We're gonna say 50 of it is on you, because like you say, fumbles lost. Like fumbles, that's nothing you can ever excuse. I don't care who you are or what position you play. Fumbles you can't excuse. But if you're telling me that your reasoning, you're telling me that their O line is shit. It's shit. It was shit at the beginning of the season and it's shit now. But Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Hurts is able to do more because he's more mobile and he's able to evade more of that stuff, or he's able to get to the outside quicker and be able to, perform more rollouts and stuff like that. So I could definitely see them saying, look, we're just going to revamp this offensive line. We're going to give Carson Wentz more time, and Carson Wentz will be able to be the quarterback he was before he got hurt. I could definitely see them saying, buying into that, and I can't necessarily disagree with it either.
I feel you. It's one of those things that they definitely have a decision on their hands to make. However, when you look at guys like Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, guys of that caliber, when I think what did Winston, what he threw for? It was right at 5,000, or did he get 5,000 last year?
I don't think he got 5,000. I think it was
Right
right.
at 5, but he had the 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. We all know that. Cam Newton, very limited, bad old line.
Cam, bro.
Nope.
Stop with that. Next, who your next quarterback is? Cam done.
Stop it.
He
So
done.
we go from MVP and
I'm
Super
just letting
Bowl
you know
to
he done. Hey, it is unprecedented. Like you said, the man was the MVP just a few years. He done, bruh. He's done.
oh,
It's over, bro.
stop it. But and see, that's my thing. When they fail, we say it's them. We really don't blame coaching. Even in Dallas, the lack of success that they've had last year and this year. You fired a coach, but them same players is there, and we still talking about the coach. No, it's the players. It's what's in house. And I feel like if this was in Cam's situation, in Winston's situation, we blame them as quarterbacks of their team because of the turnovers. Nothing is different with Carson Wentz. It's the turnovers. You have to show the most of this blame. And unlike you, I feel like just like you feel like if you can definitely see a team, our New Orleans Saints, if lo and behold we get a hold of Carson Wentz, I'm not going to be mad because I feel like under the right leadership,
Yeah.
surrounded by the right guys, this can be an effective quarterback in the NFL. He can be very serviceable, and we can win games. But I feel that way with Cam Newton. If you protect Cam Newton, stop it, Sid. If you
He
protect Cam,
done.
what
He done,
has
man.
Carson Wentz done in his career that make
Done.
you say
He
he
done.
can be better than?
Cam Newton is not a good passer of the football anymore. He was never great, but
Mm-hmm.
he was decent. He was good enough to
I can give you that. I can live with that.
when you combine that with his legs, he's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely a threat. He's an MVP. If he's
Right.
not turning the football over, he's not
Mm-hmm.
a good. He haven't. I'm not gonna say he's not. He has not been a good passer of the football this year. So if
Okay.
I'm basing it off of what I'm seeing this
Thank
year,
you.
he's not a good passer of the football. No.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's what I was getting at, but you basically put it there. It's what that like I said with Carson Wentz. If you surround him by the right individuals and good leadership and coaches, I think he can still be something. And I said I can see the same thing with Cam Newton. You said he wasn't a good passer of the football this year. The man got me and you playing receiver, bro.
No, see, that's not what I'm talking about when I say good. I'm talking about when I'm watching this man, just like Taysom Hill, when we talk about his mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
he just don't got it no more. Like,
Oh, Cam never had mechanics.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they're worse now. Like, he didn't have any room for them to get worse because once again, we just said he was a decent passer of the
At
football.
best.
He can
Yeah.
make most. He can make most of the throws you want him to make. He can't no more. I don't care who he's throwing to. He hasn't
Man,
even been able to put the ball where it needs to be in order for a receiver to make a play on it this year.
when a receiver has little to no separation, there won't be nowhere to go with the football.
And put, like I say, I'd
Because
rather,
look at.
at this point, I'd rather stick with Taysom Hill than to move to a Cam Newton again. And you know how I feel about Taysom Hill. I would rather stick with Taysom Hill than to
Next.
because to me that's a lateral movement at this point. That's
Jeez.
lateral movement.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely know how you feel about this one. Lord, yeah, I definitely know. It ain't even no reason to continue with this one after that statement. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to let our fans in on the Carson Wentz situation. Next week we might dive into the Taysom Hill one, but for
Yeah.
this week, I definitely wanted to get the fans' opinion on that one. So I'm definitely looking for feedback off of that. But
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely throw something out there, and for all our listeners, we continue to thank you guys for listening. And like Sid stated, we definitely want to hear your intake on it. See which way you feel will suit the Philadelphia Eagles best. If they should ride with Hurts or rebuild and give Wentz another crack at it.
absolutely, and that's it for this week. We will get back with y'all again next week, same time, man.
All right, Sid, be good, my boy.